So you've defeated the Blueberry Champion, caught the legendary Disk Pokemon Terrapagos, and uncovered the mystery of the 19th Terra type. Now what? Well, turns out quite a lot actually. Some of these post-game activities you may very well know already, but there's bound to be a few people that are just getting the new Pokemon DLC for the holidays. So here are 10 things you can do after completing the Indigo Disk story. First up, we have the secret room in Area Zero's Underdepths. These are the caves we venture through on the way to Terrapagos, where you may have spotted this crystal off the main path, blocking the way to a room full of items. During the story, we learned that you can remove these by defeating its corresponding stellar type Pokemon, and the one for this crystal specifically can be found in the next room over. After coming out of the tunnel, look out for this crystal formation on the right wall, and you'll want to jump up to this small opening directly behind it. This will lead you face to face with a giant crystal, where you'll have to maneuver through a bit of a tricky cave to get to the other side, but there you'll find another opening with a cave that leads to a terastallized Garchomp. Defeat it and that'll destroy the crystal we need to access the real hidden treasure of Area Zero. This room full of tons of items. Mainly it's just Terra Shards for every type, and a couple TMs, which is honestly not the craziest reward, but it's kinda cool that Pokemon actually put this optional objective here instead of making the whole cave completely linear. Next we have a couple fun emotes you can unlock around Blueberry Academy. In the school store you'll find this guy who wants to see a Pokemon with the mightiest mark. In case you don't know, this mark is exclusive to any of the Pokemon caught in special 7-star Terra raid events, such as the many starters that have been available throughout this year. So if you haven't caught any of these, you won't be able to unlock this reward, but if you do have a Pokemon with the mightiest mark, consider yourself extra lucky because now you can also strike a pose just like the Galarian champion Leon. There's another emote we can unlock in Classroom 3-2. This one's a bit easier to achieve as there's no requirements, but getting this NPC to give it might prove a bit tricky. And that's because this edgelord requires you to answer his questions very specifically. But if you channel your inner emo and happen to guess which hand he's referring to, it's the left hand by the way, you'll be able to get the weirdly named emote, Be Still My Left Hand, which references the greatest Pokemon edgelord of all time, Gladeon. And one last secret we can get lies at the very tippy top of the big crystal ball hanging from the terrarium. You'll need to have unlocked the full flying capabilities of your Ride Legendary to reach it, which can be done by talking to Amaris in Classroom 3-2 after completing the story. Once unlocked, you'll be able to freely fly around the open world areas by pushing in the left analog stick. And with this ability, we can go all the way up to the top of the terrarium, which I actually did just out of curiosity my first time, not believing the game would actually let you go all the way, but I was pleasantly surprised to be proven wrong and even find some rare items waiting to be collected up here. Now let's talk about the League Club Room, specifically the special coaches you can invite to Blueberry Academy. Up to 2 trainers can visit at once, and depending on who you choose, they'll sometimes interact with each other or even strike up a conversation with the BB League's Elite Four. The first time you invite any trainer, they'll ask you for a battle, and if you manage to defeat them, give you various rewards, ranging from rare items to special outfits and even phone cases. You can also battle the Blueberry Elite Four members, by the way, and each character will give you something different, so be sure to try and challenge as many of them as you can. Once you invite a coach for the 3rd time, this should unlock their ultimate reward, a special trade for one of their Pokemon. And like we saw in the trailer, these Pokemon are special because they come with a ribbon that when placed on the Pokemon will show the original trainer's name as they get sent into battle. You'll need to do at least 3 of these trades in order to unlock Professor Jock and Director Clavel, 5 trades for the Paldean Elite Four members Rika and Poppy, 8 trades for Champion Gita, and the rest of the trainers are a bit special because you'll need to have completed their bonding experience back in Paldea's Academy first, meaning you have to do all their classes, then visit them in all the locations they appear around the school to complete their stories, and only then will they finally appear in the club room, after you've done at least 3 trades with the gym leaders. It's pretty tedious, but like I said, you can get a lot of unique customization rewards for beating some of these trainers, and just seeing them interact with each other is pretty hilarious at times, so definitely recommend inviting as many as you can, especially because this is the key to unlocking our next secret, the secret boss. If you've used the PC in the club room, you probably noticed the final request is locked, at least until you've summoned the greatest number of coaches to the school. What this actually means is you'll need to interact with the trainers you invite to the club room 18 times first. But this doesn't mean you have to battle 18 times, since an interaction counts as just furthering their dialogue. So if you choose to decline their battle, you can re-invite them to the club by either cycling through 2 other coaches or skipping forward a day on your Nintendo Switch settings and reloading the club room. And since there are 8 gym leaders, you could potentially unlock the secret boss with just the base roster. Once you've gotten those 18 interactions, you'll be able to unlock the secret boss for a mere 10 BP and challenge none other than Director Cyrano. And he's actually the highest level trainer in the whole DLC, with his 3 strongest Pokemon all reaching level 87, those being the Unnovan starter trio. Pretty cool that he represents his home region. After defeating Cyrano, you'll be able to do a special trade for his favorite Unnovan Pokemon. But this isn't just any Blitzel. This one is actually guaranteed to be shiny. Pretty awesome reward if you ask me. But we're only just halfway through these secrets, so let's head back to Paldea for our next one. If you went back to complete all the teacher bonding cutscenes, you might have noticed some members of Team Star waiting at the entrance hall. Note that you'll need to have completed all the other optional scenes with them in order to unlock this, but once you've done all that, you'll be able to spot 2 strange characters chatting in the library. You might not recognize them at first, but these are actually Team Star's Giacomo and Eri. What have they done to her? I'm not going to spoil the details of the story in case you want to experience it for yourself, but once you've made it through, you'll be rewarded with the awesome modified Team Star school uniforms. Not as crazy as like the boss's outfits, but still definitely the best version of the Academy uniforms in the game. You even get the Team Star helmet and heels, which I'm sure someone will appreciate. The Team Star fun doesn't end here though, because after completing this story, you'll find Atticus at the Porto Marinada auction house, where he's selling super special extra unique customization items starting at just 100,000 Pokedollars. These are by far the most expensive items in the whole game, and in this economy, damn near impossible to afford. So in order to purchase them all, I think we should first talk about our next feature, the item printer. This new and improved version of the Crapomatic from Pokemon Sword and Shield DLC will take all those unwanted Pokemon materials cluttering your bag and convert them into slightly more useful stuff, or at the very least treasures that you can sell. At first the printer kinda sucks, not gonna lie, but the more you use it, you'll actually be able to upgrade it, and by the end this thing will essentially print money as long as you have materials to feed it. You should have plenty of materials to feed this thing, but if you want my recommendation, Hapini Dust is the way to go. The reason these materials are great for the printer though is because you only need 15 to max out the machine, and I don't think it actually matters what you put in because the rewards appear to be entirely random, so feel free to go on a chancy murdering spree and you'll thank me later. Once you've printed enough items, you'll be able to upgrade the machine, first to a Great Ball and then to an Ultra Ball, which unlocks the chance to roll bonus items for free. And finally, the Master Ball upgrade, which is where things get really fun. And that's because you'll unlock a bonus chance to hit the jackpot and print Pokeballs. I know it doesn't sound that crazy, but you can get special apricorn balls from this, and if you're super lucky, maybe even a Master Ball. All throughout this printing experience, you'll be racking up items that you can sell at the Pokemart, so let's take our hard-earned cash down to the auction house and blow it all on more useless junk, like, wait, no way. Ball Guy is back? Alright, never mind, this was totally worth it. So Atticus Auction items are actually pretty sick, all calling back to previous 3D Pokemon games, like the Magma and Aqua helmets from Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, the Ether Paradise boots from Pokemon Sun and Moon, the Ultra Recon Squad's glasses and Ryuki's gloves from Pokemon Ultra Sun and Moon, Marnie's backpack from Sword and Shield, and my personal favorite, Emma's helmet from the Pokemon X and Y postgame. Fair warning though, these items will be expensive, like even if you're an expert auction house manipulator, be prepared to spend at least 200,000 per item. One time this grandma ran my pockets for over 300k, and exactly where the frick are these little kids getting the cash to bet over 100k? Seriously. Once you've bought all of Atticus auction items, he'll give you one final special reward, the greatest emote of all time. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this, but I love it. Now let's head back to the Blueberry Academy for our final few rewards. First up, we have Perrin's Quest, which you can only take on after registering a whopping 200 Pokemon found in the terrarium to your Pokedex. If you haven't been completing the dex in the base game or previous DLC, this could prove to be quite daunting, but it's really just a matter of patience and lots of Pokeballs. Once you've caught all 200, you can meet back up with Perrin near the entrance to the terrarium, and she'll show you a couple of pictures of the final 2 Paradox Pokemon. Either Entei and Raikou in Pokémon Scarlet, or Cobalion and Terrakion in Violet. You'll need to track them back down in Area 0, but they're not all that difficult to find, and actually not even the secret I'm covering in this segment. Instead, I want to talk about what we get after catching them. Return to Perrin and she'll reward you with a Sport Ball, yet another super rare Pokeball that could only be obtained and used during the bug catching contest in Johto. I know there's a lot of Gen 5 references in this DLC, but this one in particular harkens back to Gen 2, which has made some fans wonder if instead of Unova remakes, we might just get the return of everyone's favorite spin-off games instead. No joke, I would actually be down for Let's Go Johto. As easy as the Let's Go games were, I still kinda enjoyed them, so we'll see. Now, if you're a completionist like me, you might just be tempted to complete the whole Blueberry Pokedex at this point. I mean, we got 200 Pokemon already. What's 40 more? This proved to be a bit more difficult than I thought, since a lot of Pokemon from the terrarium can only be evolved by trade, though people have told me you can find them in Terra raids too. But to register the version-exclusive legendary paradoxes, you are most definitely going to need a friend with the opposite version. If you somehow manage to register all 240 Pokemon in the Indigo Disk, you'll finally be able to claim the ultimate reward from the Pokedex, yet another Master Ball. Is it just me, or are they just handing these out to anybody nowadays? Anyway, there's one more reward we can get by speaking to Director Cyrano at the school's entrance, and for completing the entire Pokedex, you'll receive the Mark Charm, a new item that makes it more likely for Pokemon with the mark to spawn. You'll also get this fancy diploma to commemorate your glorious achievement, featuring this pretty cool artwork of Terrapagos in the classic Sugimori style, and a pretty funny final cutscene between Serrano and his old college friend Clubby. But even this isn't quite the true ending of the DLC. So let's wrap up this video by talking about one final hidden detail that I know you've all been waiting for: the secret ending. After catching Terrapagos and saving the region, again, you'll receive a copy of Briar's book, detailing her adventures down in Area 0. If you take this book along with Terrapagos to the Crystal Pool back in Kitakami, you'll trigger a special cutscene that absolutely made my jaw drop. Whoa! Just decided to terrestrialize a— What? What is happening? The original professor, either Sada or Turo depending on which version you're playing, will appear before you in a strange, misty pocket dimension that allows them to travel through time momentarily. And this is the real professor, not the AI version that stayed behind in the Zero lab. So you can ask them a few questions about how exactly this is possible, or even pry into their personal life, because we all really wanted to know how they felt about abandoning our boy. In the end, we exchange Briar's book for the professor's personal copy of the Scarlet or Violet book, and essentially create a time loop, also known as a temporal paradox. Since this book contained crucial information that the professors needed to finalize their time machine and bring Paradox Pokemon to the present, that means we were actually the ones who set in motion the events for this whole adventure. By giving them the book, we helped the professor obtain Koraidon or Miraidon, which means we killed Arven's parents. We almost destroyed the region, but then we also saved it, so all's well that ends well? This cutscene is essentially the true ending of Scarlet and Violet, and afterwards you'll be treated to a brand new title screen complete with new music and the Scarlet or Violet book sitting right there as a reminder that you are responsible for all of this. And that's everything you can do and every secret you can find after completing the Indigo Disk. So let me know if any of these were new to you, and don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoyed the video. Honorable mention goes to the Academy Ace Tournament, which apparently gets harder battles after you've caught the turtle, including Champion Geeta finally fixing her team, so maybe I'll do a deeper dive into that in a future video. But for now, that's it. We're done with the DLC, which means we're done with Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Thank you guys so much for joining me on yet another journey. Subscribe if you haven't yet for more Pokemon videos, and I'll catch you in the next one.